if her head comes off.
What if a movie about toys coming to life wasn't meant for kids at all? Small Soldiers look like another family film, talking toys, wild battles, and crazy neighborhood wars, but behind all the chaos, there's a much darker and complicated story. From a director having to completely shift his vision during production, to real-world controversies where toys were pulled from the shelves, and even a lawsuit involving Steven Spielberg, there's so much more happening behind the scenes of this movie than people realize. Somehow, despite all of it, it still became one of the most unique and unforgettable movies of the late 90s. So join us as we have a look at 20 crazy facts you probably didn't know about Small Soldiers. But before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss more deep dives like this. Number 20. Small Soldiers was a challenging project for director Joe Dante. After the success of his movie Gremlins, Hollywood had high hopes for his creativity. When he started working on Small Soldiers in 1997, he found himself in a tough situation. The original plan had been to make a dark, action-packed film for teens, exploring how military technology was being used in children's toys. But studio execs stepped in and changed the direction. They saw the movie as an opportunity to boost toy sales and get sponsorships, and that's when everything started to go off track. With most of the work already complete, Dante had to transform the intense scenes into more kid-friendly ones, and despite the distractions and studio notes, he pulled it off but never forgot to mention that he was originally told to make an edgy picture for teenagers, and then told to soften it up for the children. This ended up with the movie having to take out a lot of the action and explosion scenes and calm down the violence.
I'm talking about toys that are so smart when kids play with them, they play back. Toys and short gentlemen that actually do what they do in the commercials.
Number 19. Joe Dante wanted to engage the entire main cast of 1987's Predator for Small Soldiers. The reunion of the action stars would make the kids' movie sound like a hardcore war film, but the plan never came together. And so, he turned to the cast of the legendary movie The Dirty Dozen for the rest of the Commando Elite ensemble. His original picks were very intentional. He wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger as Chip Hazard, Shane Black as Kip Killigan, Carl Weathers as Butch Meathook, Jesse Ventura as Brick Bazooka, Sonny Landham as Nick Nitro, and Bill Duke as Link Static. None of them would end up doing it, and Tommy Lee Jones eventually voiced Chip Hazard. He was never even on Dante's Predator wish list at all.
Tail dogs, soldiers! Butch Meathook, sniper. Lethal from any distance, sir. Good to have you aboard. Nick Nitro, demolition is my mission.
Number 18. After not being able to get the cast of Predator, Dante had to bring in members of the Dirty Dozen for the Commando Elite. Ernest Borgnine played Kip Killigan, George Kennedy played Brick Bazooka, Jim Brown was Butch Meathook, and Clint Walker was Nick Nitro. Tommy Lee Jones, who had voiced leader Chip Hazard, was never in the Dirty Dozen, and Dante's plan faced a setback when Richard Jackal, another Dirty Dozen alumni who had agreed to voice Link Static, passed away in June of '97 before photography began. To fill in his slot, the production crew recruited Bruce Dern to voice Link Static, and although Dern was not part of the original Dirty Dozen cast, he was known for his work in war and revisionist westerns, and slid in alongside the rest of the ensemble. Number 17. The Gorgonites monsters were the good guys of Small Soldiers, but their designs would terrify the children's audience. To reveal their inner nobility, Joe Dante had to have softer and gentler voices with already established trust. And to pull it off, he turned to the comedy trio of Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer, the stars of the 1984 classic This Is Spinal Tap. Christopher Guest voiced the heavy-hitting Slam Fist as well as the female-coded Scratch It. Michael McKean brought both the chaotic Insaniac and Freakenstein to life, and Harry Shearer voiced Punch It and several other characters. Voice actor Jim Cummings, best known for Disney's Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, rounded out the Gorgonites as the one-eyed Okula. Joe Dante's decision to use primarily the Spinal Tap trio for the scary-looking creatures made them feel fun, lovable, and unique.
Gorgonites, we must help Alan.
But if we fight, we will lose. Last time we fought, I woke up with AM/FM.
I tell you, war is not.
Number 16. Only 6 weeks before the movie's release in July of 1998, Phil Hartman was tragically killed by his wife. The filmmakers decided to re-edit the movie out of respect for him and removed scenes where the commando elite pointed their weapons directly at his character. After the credits, the film pays tribute to Hartman with a touching outtake of him filming one of his scenes, ending with the words, "For Phil." It's a bittersweet moment that honors his legacy. Fans also remember Hartman for his role as the smug, materialistic neighbor in Jingle All the Way and his work on Saturday Night Live.
Hi, I'm Phil Fimple. I'm here to negotiate the surrender of the, Gorgonzolas.
Number 15. Kip Killigan was a tough, weapon-packed soldier who looked cool but was also dangerous, and when the movie came out, he quickly became a local controversy. Only 2 months before, a teenager named Kipling Kip Kinkle had murdered his parents and then carried out a school shooting at Thurston High School in Springfield, Oregon, killing 2 students and wounding 25 others. This sad and strange link made the toy name a flashpoint. The real Kinkle was only 15, and the toy was named Kip Killigan, a near homophone. In July of '98, the franchise group that operated 11 Burger King restaurants in the Springfield area sent out a memo instructing the stores to stop including the toy in their kids' club meals. It was a local decision and not a corporate Burger King recall. The toy was not distributed in Oregon, and today the unreleased Oregon Killigan figure has become a niche collector's item. Interesting precisely because of how narrow and specific the recall actually was.
Kip Killigan, covert insurgent, sharp as a razor. Sir,
Let me see that weapon.
standard issue is insufficient.
Number 14. In the 90s, marketing strategies were very different from today's social media-driven world. Instead of clicks and viral posts, companies focused on physical products like toys to promote movies. Burger King teamed up with the movie Small Soldiers to include toys from the film in their children's meals, and at first it seemed like a great idea. Both sides had hoped to attract kids and families. But the problem was that Small Soldiers came out rated as PG-13. Burger King had been led to believe it would receive no higher than a PG rating, and according to director Joe Dante, that rating was triggered specifically by the scene in which the commandos drug Phil and Marion's drink to take them out of the picture. Burger King did not actually halt the promotion. The toys had already been made and shipped out, so the chain added a disclaimer to the pamphlet that came with each toy, noting that the movie may contain material that's inappropriate for younger children. Some restaurants also offered customers the option to swap out their Small Soldiers figure for a Mr. Potato Head toy, a softer pivot than a full halt, but still notable as a late-stage save.
Fire when ready, Private.
Number 13. Stan Winston was a master at special effects, but it doesn't stop there. He worked with Hasbro closely while developing the on-screen toys for the film in what he called an unprecedented collaboration. He and his crew said they learned an enormous amount about toy joint technology from Hasbro and then advanced it further to create the characters that can move on screen but also work as a real toy line. Those toys became quite popular and outsold the film. Winston said that sales for the Small Soldiers toys outperformed the movie, and it said that the sales of the toys actually outperformed the movie. This would surprise Winston, who said that the experience had changed how he thought about mixing movie effects with making merchandise. Number 12. Led Zeppelin, the famous British rock band, was well known for almost never allowing their music to be used in movies, but when their songs were featured in Small Soldiers, it surprised everyone in Hollywood. Joe Dante knew he needed the perfect soundtrack to make the movie unique, and so he reached out to the rock legends to bring powerful energy to the film. Following the idea, the filmmakers made sure to go through all the proper licensing steps to honor the band. Dante personally assured Led Zeppelin their music wouldn't be just used as background noise. Surprisingly, they agreed and allowed the original recording of Communication Breakdown to be used in the soundtrack. To show his gratitude, Dante included a Led Zeppelin poster in one of the bedroom sets, and when the track played during the scene where Gwendy dolls capture Christy, it added a brilliant contrast, blending in humor with menace. Number 11. At the planning stage, Small Soldiers was not supposed to be a movie loaded full of computer-generated imagery. The original idea was much more about old-school physical puppets. Joe Dante had brought in experts from Stan Winston's studio, and they were the same people behind the creatures in Jurassic Park. This time, the plan was to make a fleet of 12-inch animatronic puppets, and Stan Winston reportedly built up to 4 versions of each of the 13 main Commando and Gorgonite characters. These puppets were great for close-up scenes, but had trouble with more complicated movements. As Joe Dante later admitted, he found that it was much simpler and cheaper to let the CGI people do the work after the scenes were shot. Industrial Light and Magic then took over the bulk of the on-screen toy animation, and Dante later estimated the final film was about 1/3 puppetry and the rest was CGI. Number 10. When Chip Hazard steps out of his packaging, he stands tall in front of a huge American flag and gives a powerful military speech to his toy soldiers. That scene is actually a spoof, copying the famous opening scene from the 1970 movie Patton by Franklin J. Schaffner, with George C. Scott in the title role. Everything is almost the same. The way that Chip stands, the sound of his speech, and the entire setup look just like General Patton's. The music playing during the speech is another brilliant joke. It uses the same score composed by Jerry Goldsmith, and don't forget, Goldsmith also created the music for Small Soldiers. He brought back his own legendary work to highlight a hilarious scene of a toy soldier dreaming big.
Soldiers, no poor sap ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by being all that he can be.
Number 9. The lead villain has a name that hides a quirky connection. Chip Hazard, the soldier known for his tough and aggressive personality, was actually inspired by a Phil Hartman improv character called Chick Hazard Private Eye. Hartman developed it during his years with the Groundlings comedy troupe in Los Angeles. In his bit, Chick was a detective dealing with the weirdest and most puzzling cases, including, in one famous routine, the murder of Hamlet's father. Hartman even worked on a never-produced Chick Hazard feature film. Somehow, the name made its way into the movie and was given to the film's most dangerous character, with a spelling tweaked from Chick to Chip. Phil Hartman played Phil Fimple, a goofy and harmless neighbor in the movie. It's funny to think about how he brought humor as Phil Fimple and is also linked to the villain. Are you enjoying the video so far? Our motivation is linked to your support, so make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you know someone who loves Small Soldiers, be sure to send this video to them. Number 8. When Alan digs through the garbage looking for Gorgonites, you can see a Gizmo doll, the friendly Mogwai from Gremlins, being tossed amongst the trash. If the character sounds familiar, it's a clear nod to Joe Dante's 1984 classic Gremlins, which is like a spiritual predecessor to Small Soldiers. That's not the only hidden reference, though. Alan's desk has a piranha figurine on it, a nod to Dante's 1978 directorial debut, Piranha. The computer password used in the Globotech corporate network is Gizmo, the famous character from the Gremlins.
Gizmo.
And then there's a character named Ralph Quist, played by Robert Picardo. It shares a surname with Eddie Quist, a character that Picardo played in Dante's 1981 horror The Howling. There's also a gremlin skull on Alan's desk, just for good measure. Number 7. When the Commando Elite took the sweet pink Gwendy dolls and installed Nick Nitro's recovered chip into them, the dolls began to talk. They may look cute, but their personalities were anything but that. 2 big stars from the 90s gave them their voice, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Christina Ricci. At the time, Gellar was famous for playing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Ricci was known for roles as Wednesday Addams in The Addams Family and Addams Family Values. In Small Soldiers, the dolls turn into tiny but dangerous killers, joining forces with the Commando Elite in their crazy and chaotic battle. What made them so creepy was the way that they mixed their sweet, girly phrases with violent actions. They would say things like, "Are you going to be our new playmate?" but then attack their victims.
Hi there! Cannon Fodder Gwendy reporting for duty, sir.
Number 6. Joe Dante wanted to revive the spirit of classic Hollywood, and for this purpose, he called on Clint Walker. Famous for his presence as Cheyenne Bodie in the 50s, Walker had one of the most iconic tough guy voices in the business. In 1998, he was 71 years old, and he didn't appear on screen, but did lend his voice to Nick Nitro, the demolitions expert of the Commando Elite. It was a small role, yet he filled that tiny plastic soldier with an undeniable muscle man energy. His voiceover became the final credit of Walker's 40-year career, and after the film, he walked away from the industry for good. It was an unexpected curtain call for such a real-life legend. Number 5. In May of 2000, Steven Spielberg and his company Amblin Entertainment were sued, along with the studio that released the movie Small Soldiers. An independent filmmaker named Gregory P. Grant came forward, claiming that the movie's concept was not original and argued that it was based on his own 5-minute student-made animated short called Ode to G.I. Joe, which was made in 1990. He claimed that he had met with Spielberg's team at Amblin in 1991 and sent them a written treatment in 92 that imagined good G.I. Joe dolls coming to life and battling bad ones. He said that he gave them a copy of the film and the treatment, and according to Grant, Amblin then moved forward with what would become Small Soldiers about a month later. However, the project never went anywhere, and Grant thought it was the end of it. That was until Small Soldiers landed in theaters not long after. Grant said that Small Soldiers had copied big ideas and even key scenes from his own short film. His lawyers, included a former LA district attorney, argued that similarities were far too strong just to be a coincidence. Spielberg's side argued that the film was independently created from a Gavin Scott script. Heading toward trial in 2002, DreamWorks and Vivendi Universal quietly settled with Grant. Terms were never disclosed, and while the case was framed as denied, it didn't actually end with a verdict in either direction. Number 4. When Joe Dante was casting for the movie, he had the idea to use the voices of surviving cast members of the Dirty Dozen for the Commando Elite characters. This reunion may have sounded exciting, but Charles Bronson, who had starred in the 1967 film, said no. Bronson simply did not feel a connection to the Dirty Dozen, and even though he appeared in the film, he had no interest in coming back. He turned down the chance to voice a toy soldier that was modeled after the movie. Richard Jekyll, another member of the original cast, had agreed to join, but then he passed away in June of 1997 before principal photography could begin. Bruce Dern then stepped in to fill his place, and when the dust settled, only 4 of the Dirty Dozen alumni ended up in the movie: Ernest Borgnine, George Kennedy, Jim Brown, and Clint Walker. Number 3. By July of 1998, DreamWorks Pictures was still finding its footing. Founded in October of '94 by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen, the studio only released its first 3 live-action films in 1997, The Peacemaker, Amistad, and Mouse Hunt. They had about $100 billion in distribution with MCA and Universal in the international markets that dated back to 1995, so co-production would not be unusual. But Small Soldiers was unusually risky for a young studio. The $40 million special effects-heavy comedy with toys, satire, and tonal whiplash came out the same summer as Saving Private Ryan, Deep Impact, and Ants, 3 of DreamWorks' big swings, all in 1998. The PG-13 rating itself was a surprise. DreamWorks and Joe Dante had told Burger King the rating would be PG. The toys in the movie didn't only talk, they actually fought, exploded, and turned a peaceful neighborhood into a war zone. The darker tone is what had pushed the movie out of the family-friendly territory and made the toy tie-ins so awkward. Number 2. In January of 2014, 20th Century Fox announced that they had bought a script for a Small Soldiers remake under the title of Toymageddon. Fast and Furious director Justin Lin was involved as a producer, and it was described in The Hollywood Reporter as a 4-quadrant live-action family adventure movie in the vein of Jurassic Park and Ghostbusters about a toy factory that runs amok. With Lin's name on the project, fans became excited. The idea was during a time when Hollywood was bringing back popular films from the 90s to remake them. Small Soldiers seemed like a perfect choice. It had already gotten a fan base of people who loved it when they were younger. The project never got off the ground, and in August of 2019, after Disney had completed its acquisition of 21st Century Fox, it was officially canceled along with roughly 200 other in-development Fox projects. In 1998, Joe Dante had high hopes for Small Soldiers. He wanted to kickstart a major franchise, but disappointing box office numbers crushed the dream early on. Toymageddon was supposed to be the second chance to reboot the story, but it got swept off the slate the same week as projects from across the entire former Fox catalog. Number 1. It all began in the early 1990s when British writer Gavin Scott, who'd been working on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, pitched a story that he dreamt up during his Marin County commute. It was a dark satire targeting the military-industrial complex. Universal Pictures and Amblin picked it up, and the screenplay for Small Soldiers began its long road to the big screen. The script went through the hands of several writers over the next several years. Adam Rifkin worked on it, Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, and interestingly, the two writers would later go on to do all 4 of the original Pirates of the Caribbean films, beginning with The Curse of the Black Pearl in 2003, for which they had won a BAFTA. The Small Soldier script credit reads all 4 of the writers who had worked on the project over its long haul. Now be sure to smash that like button since you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you always know when we upload another one. If you have any recommendations, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.